she was just the cleaner's daughter, until she changed the crying baby's diaper in the director's office. Michael Reynolds was going through the worst moment of his life when desperate cries echoed through the company's hallways. His wife had left 3 days earlier, leaving him alone with a 2-month-old baby he didn't know how to care for. That's when little Emily Parker, just 9 years old, rushed into the executive office. Without hesitation, she picked up the baby and began changing his diaper with the skill of someone who had cared for younger siblings at home. "Sir, the baby has a rash," she said naturally, carefully applying ointment. "My mom always says you have to change it really fast when he poops." Michael stood frozen. For 2 hours he had been trying to calm Noah, his son, with no success. The baby wouldn't stop crying, and he didn't know what to do. His secretary, Mrs. Gloria, had suggested calling a nanny, but he was in complete panic. "Who are you?" he asked, watching the baby finally settle in the girl's arms. "I'm Emily. My mom is Mrs. Rosa, who cleans your office every morning," she replied, gently rocking Noah. "He was hungry too. Where's the bottle?" The little girl had brown hair tied in a simple ponytail and wore a beige blouse that looked like it had been washed many times. Her brown eyes shone with a wisdom that didn't match her age. Michael pointed to the insulated bag in the corner of the room. Emily grabbed the bottle, tested the temperature on her wrist, and began feeding Noah with natural, confident movements. "Do you have younger siblings?" he asked, still in disbelief. "I have 3 little brothers. I've been taking care of them since I was really small because my mom works a lot," she explained, not taking her eyes off the baby. "My dad left when the youngest was born. He said he couldn't handle so many mouths to feed." The man felt a tightness in his chest. Here was a 9-year-old girl caring for his son better than he could. The irony of the situation hit him like a punch. He, the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in New York City, didn't know how to change a diaper, while the cleaner's daughter had mastered the art perfectly. "Emily, Emily, where are you?" Rosa Parker's voice echoed down the hallway, filled with desperation. The 45-year-old woman appeared at the office door, her face flushed from running. Her graying hair was pulled into a tight bun, and she wore the blue uniform of the cleaning company. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds. I don't know how she got in here," Rosa said, out of breath. "Emily, come here right now." "No, wait," Michael said, raising his hand. She's helping with Noah." Rosa looked at her daughter, who was still calmly feeding the baby, and then at her boss. Her eyes filled with tears of shame. "Sir, I can explain. She won't bother you again. I'll take her away right now." "Mom, the baby was crying so much." Mr. Reynolds didn't know what to do, Emily said with the innocence of a child. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Michael looked at Rosa and saw the same exhaustion on her face that he felt. She had worked at the company for 12 years, always arriving before everyone else and leaving last. He had never really noticed her before, just as he had never paid attention to any of the cleaning staff. "Mrs. Rosa, can I make a proposal?" he said, surprising even himself. "Your daughter seems to have experience with babies. I need help. My wife, she left us." Rosa lowered her eyes. She had heard the story through the whispers of the security guards. The CEO's wife had run off with her Pilates instructor, abandoning her husband and their newborn son. "I'm not sure if it would be appropriate, sir," she murmured. "I'd pay extra, of course, just until I can get organized," insisted Michael, watching Noah fall asleep peacefully in Emily's arms. The offer was tempting. Rosa earned only 1.5 times the minimum wage, and household bills always tightened at the end of the month. The medication for high blood pressure was expensive, and Emily needed new school supplies. "If you're sure," she said hesitantly. "I am. Emily can stay here during your work hours. She can play, do her homework, and help me with Noah when needed." And so began a routine that would change everyone's lives. Emily arrived with her mother at 6 in the morning and stayed in the director's office while Rosa cleaned the other floors. The girl did her homework at a small table Michael had set up in the corner of the room and took care of Noah when he cried. At first, the staff found it strange. Gloria, the secretary, complained that it wasn't appropriate to have a child wandering around the executive offices. The executives made snide remarks about the situation. "This is absurd," said Victoria Sanderson, the assistant director, during a management meeting. "A poor child taking care of the director's baby? What will the clients think?" Victoria was a 50-year-old divorced woman who had built her career by stepping on whoever was necessary. She had always harbored romantic interest in Michael, but he had never reciprocated. Now, she saw the situation as an opportunity to get closer to him. "He's vulnerable," she remarked to Jennifer, the HR manager. "An experienced woman like me would be much better at taking care of the child, and him too." Weeks passed, and the bond between Emily and Noah grew stronger. The baby stopped crying immediately when he saw the girl. She had developed a special song, based on the lullabies her grandmother Gloria used to sing, that soothed him instantly. "Sleep, my little one. The moon has arrived. Close your eyes. Sleep is here," she sang in a sweet melodic voice. Michael watched in fascination. Emily was more of a mother to Noah than his own mother had ever been. The girl anticipated the baby's needs, knowing exactly when he was hungry, sleepy, or uncomfortable. One morning, Michael arrived at the office to find Emily drawing while Noah slept in the portable crib. She had made a picture of a family, a tall man, a baby, and a little girl, all holding hands. "It's you, me, and Noah," she explained, proudly showing him the paper. "And where's your mum in the drawing?" he asked. "My mum is cleaning. She's always cleaning," Emily replied, a sudden sadness in her voice. Michael felt a lump in his throat. He realized Rosa worked so much, she barely had time for her own children. Emily, the eldest, had taken on the role of mother to her younger siblings. That night he came home carrying a guilt he couldn't explain. His home in the Upper East Side, with 3 bedrooms and a pool, stood in stark contrast to Rosa and Emily's reality. They lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of New York City, sharing the space with Emily's 3 siblings. At work, tensions began to rise. Victoria spread malicious comments about the situation, suggesting Rosa was taking advantage of Michael's vulnerability. "That cleaning woman is very clever," she said to a group of employees during coffee break. "First, she has her daughter take care of the baby. Now she'll try to get close to the boss. Poor women always have these tricks." The remarks reached Rosa's ears, leaving her deeply hurt. She had worked honestly her entire life and had never taken advantage of anyone. She considered quitting, but financial need held her back. Emily, meanwhile, heard everything. Children always hear more than adults realize. She saw how the employees looked at her and her mother with disdain, as if they were different, lesser, unimportant. One day during lunch break, Emily was playing in the company garden when she overheard a conversation between 2 executives. "It's unacceptable for a poor child to have access to the executive floor," said one. "Imagine if she gets hold of confidential information. Michael is losing his mind. After the separation, he's making terrible choices," agreed the other. Emily ran to the bathroom and cried silently. For the first time in her life, she felt ashamed of being poor, ashamed that her mother worked as a cleaner, ashamed that she didn't have pretty clothes like the executives' daughters who visited the company. When she returned to the director's office, Michael noticed her red eyes. "What happened, Emily?" "Nothing," she lied, holding Noah tighter than usual. But Michael insisted. After much hesitation, Emily told him what she had heard. The man felt a rage he hadn't experienced in years. How dare they speak that way about a child? "Emily, look at me," he said, kneeling to meet her gaze. "You are very important. To me and to Noah. Don't pay attention to what people say, okay?" "But they're right," she murmured. "I'm just the cleaner's daughter. You are Emily Parker, a smart, brave, and kind girl. That's far more important than any job title or money." Despite Michael's words, the situation was becoming unbearable. Victoria had started a quiet campaign against Mrs. Rosa, questioning her competence and suggesting she was neglecting her work to tend to the director's personal interests. "She doesn't even clean properly anymore," Victoria remarked to other employees. "She's too focused on her daughter and the boss's baby. It's unprofessional." The pressure grew when some important clients visited the company and were surprised to see a child in the executive area. One of them, Mr. Howard Thompson, owner of a competing firm, made uncomfortable remarks. "Michael, what an interesting situation you have here," he said, eyeing Emily with disdain. "Such a young nanny, and during business hours." "Emily is... she's helping me temporarily," Michael explained, feeling embarrassed for the first time. "I see. I hope it's truly temporary. Our partners value professionalism highly." That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He began questioning if he was doing the right thing. Noah was thriving, sleeping better, eating well, all thanks to Emily's care. But the social cost was becoming too high. The next morning, he called Mrs. Rosa for a private talk. "Mrs. Rosa, I need to speak with you about Emily's situation." Her heart sank. She had known this moment would come. "I understand, Mr. Michael. I'll make sure she doesn't come anymore." "That's not it," he said quickly. "It's just... people are talking. It could hurt both of you. I don't want you suffering because of me." Mrs. Rosa took a deep breath. She knew that world better than he realized, how the wealthy protected their social circles. "You don't need to worry about us. We're used to it," she said with dignity. "But I do worry," Michael admitted. "Emily doesn't deserve this." Just then, Noah began crying in his crib. Instinctively, they both turned toward the baby, but it was Emily who came running from the table where she'd been doing homework. "He has gas," she said, picking him up and gently massaging his little belly. "My grandma taught me this for my baby brother." Michael and Mrs. Rosa watched silently as Noah calmed in the girl's capable arms. There was something almost magical about their bond. "Mom, why do you both look so sad?" asked Emily, noticing the tension in the air. "We're not sad, dear," lied Rosa, but Emily was too clever. That night at home, she overheard her mother talking to the neighbor about possibly looking for another job. "I can't take the stairs anymore, Dorothy," Rosa confessed. "People look at me like I'm some kind of opportunist, as if I had any interest in Michael beyond working honestly." "You've worked at that company for 12 years, Rosa. You can't throw it all away because of gossip," Dorothy advised. "But what about Emily? She's suffering. A child shouldn't go through this." Emily went to bed that night with a heavy heart. She didn't want her mother to lose her job because of her, but she also didn't want to be separated from Noah. The baby had become like a little brother to her. The next day, things got worse. Victoria had scheduled a meeting with the board to discuss professional suitability concerns within the company. Everyone knew it was about Rosa and Emily. "Gentlemen, we need to address a delicate matter," Victoria began, smoothing her platinum blonde hair. "The presence of unauthorized individuals in the executive offices is damaging our corporate image." The 5 board members listened intently as she argued about professionalism, company reputation, and corporate responsibility. "What if something happens to the child during business hours?" one of them asked. "The company could be held liable." "Exactly," Victoria agreed. "Besides, we have qualified employees who could handle this responsibility more appropriately." Michael knew she was referring to herself. Victoria had suggested several times that she could help him with Noah, always with obvious romantic ulterior motives. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. "I'll take your concerns into consideration," Michael said diplomatically. But inside, he was torn. How could he explain to people who had never needed real help what Emily meant to him and Noah? How could they understand that this 9-year-old girl had saved his sanity during the hardest moments of his life? That afternoon, as Emily, Drew, and Noah slept, Michael watched them. The girl had created a perfect routine for the baby, feeding him on time, regular naps, the right stimulation for his development. She talked to Noah as if he understood every word, sang to him, showed him colorful books. "Emily, can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course, Mr. Michael." "Why do you love taking care of Noah so much?" The girl stopped drawing and looked at the sleeping baby. "Because he needs me," she answered simply. "And I like being important to someone." The answer struck Michael like lightning. Emily, a 9-year-old, had put into words something he, at 35, was still trying to understand about himself. They needed each other. 2 weeks later, The pressure reached its peak. An important client cancelled a contract, citing cultural incompatibility with the company. Though there was no direct proof it was because of Emily, Victoria wasted no time connecting the dots. "I can't say I didn't warn you," she remarked to the other managers. "Our reputation is taking a hit." Michael was called into an emergency meeting with the company president, Mr. Gerald Thompson, a 60-year-old man known for his strict corporate principles. "Michael, you're one of our best directors," Gerald began. "But this situation is causing discomfort. We need to resolve it." "I understand your concerns, Mr. Gerald, but I need you to understand this isn't a simple situation. There are excellent daycare centers in the city, qualified nannies. Why should such a young child stay at the office?" Michael tried to explain, but realized his words sounded weak in a corporate setting. How could he explain emotional bonds to men who measured everything in numbers and results? "I'll resolve the situation," he promised, his heart heavy. That night, Michael came home and found Noah crying inconsolably in the arms of the nighttime nanny he had hired. "He won't stop crying, Mr. Michael," the young woman said, exhausted. "I've tried everything." Michael took his son in his arms and tried to soothe him, but Noah kept crying. It was when he began humming the song Emily always sang that the baby immediately calmed down. There was the proof of the special bond between Emily and Noah. It wasn't just care. It was genuine love, a connection that transcended social and economic differences. The next day, Michael arrived at work, determined to talk to Rosa and Emily. He found them in the office, but there was something different in the air. Rosa seemed tense and Emily was unusually quiet. "Did something happen?" he asked. "Mr. Michael," Rosa said formally, "I need to let you know I can no longer bring Emily to work." "Why?" "Last night she came home crying. Some girls at school found out she takes care of a rich man's baby and started mocking her. They called her a luxury nanny, said our family was just servants to the wealthy." Michael looked at Emily, who kept her eyes down. "I've also heard comments from other employees," Rosa continued. "I think it's best we keep our distance. We don't want to harm your position at the company." "But what about Noah?" Michael asked desperately. "You'll find someone suitable, someone from your own social class." Rosa's words hurt more than any corporate criticism. He realized he had failed to protect Emily and Rosa from the social consequences of his decision. "Mrs. Rosa, please, don't make this decision hastily." "The decision is already made," she said firmly, masking her pain. "Emily won't be coming back." Just then, Noah woke up and began crying. Instinctively, Emily stood to pick him up, but her mother stopped her. "No, Emily. He's not our responsibility anymore." The baby cried louder, reaching his little arms toward Emily. The girl stood frozen, torn between obeying her mother and her love for the baby. "Mum, he's crying," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "There are other people to care for him now," Rosa said, controlling her own emotions. Michael watched the scene, feeling utterly powerless. Noah wouldn't stop crying, and Emily kept looking at him with watery eyes. "Please," Michael begged, "at least until I find a replacement." "No, sir, it has to be now or it'll be harder for everyone," Rosa said, pulling Emily by the hand. "Noah!" Emily cried, trying to break free from her mother. The baby wailed even louder, as if he understood he was losing his favorite person in the world. Michael was left alone in the office with Noah crying desperately. He tried everything, a bottle, music, rocking, nothing worked. The baby only calmed 2 hours later, out of sheer exhaustion. In the following days, the situation quickly worsened. Noah refused food, slept poorly, and cried constantly. Michael hired 3 different nannies, but none could soothe the child the way Emily had. "He misses the girl," remarked Mrs. Gloria, the secretary, who had grown fond of the pair over the months. "I know," Michael murmured, exhausted, "but I can't force the situation." Victoria seized the opportunity to offer her help again. "Michael, you need assistance," she said, walking into the office uninvited. "An experienced woman would be better to take care of Noah." "Thank you, Victoria, but I'll handle it alone." "You're not handling it," she insisted. "The baby is clearly suffering, and so are you." It was true. Michael hadn't slept in days, Noah cried constantly, and he was losing weight and focus at work. Meanwhile, at home, Emily wasn't doing well either. She cried every night asking about Noah, refused to play with her siblings, and couldn't concentrate at school. "Mom, do you think Noah is eating properly?" she asked every day. "Emily, forget about Noah. He's not our responsibility anymore," Rosa replied, though her heart ached. "But he needs his tummy massage or he'll get gas," Emily insisted. "Other people are taking care of him now." "But do they know the song he likes? Do they know he only sleeps on his side?" Emily's questions were like daggers to Rosa's heart. A week later, Michael was at his breaking point. Noah had lost weight, cried non-stop, and the professional nannies couldn't establish a routine with him. That's when Mrs. Gloria knocked on his office door. "Mr. Reynolds, may I speak with you?" "Of course, Mrs. Gloria." "I know it's not my place, but Emily is downstairs in the garden." "What do you mean?" "She's sitting on the bench, looking up here. Her mother finished cleaning, but the girl won't leave. She's been there for an hour." Michael looked out the window and saw Emily's small figure sitting alone on the bench, staring at the building. His heart shattered. "Sir, if I may say so," Mrs. Gloria continued, "that girl loves Noah like he's her own brother, and he loves her too. It's cruel to separate two people who love each other like that." "But people, to hell with people," she said with unusual force. "I've worked here 20 years and never seen so much hypocrisy. Everyone pretending to care about protocol when really they're just jealous. Jealous. Jealous that a poor child matters more to you than they do. Jealous that love means more than money or status." Mrs. Gloria's words echoed in Michael's mind. He looked at Noah, restless in his crib, and made a decision. "Mrs. Gloria, could you bring Emily here?" "Are you sure?" "I am." Minutes later, Emily entered the room, her eyes swollen from crying. When she saw Noah, she rushed to the crib. "Hi, Noah," she whispered. "I missed you so much." The baby woke at her voice and immediately smiled, his first smile in a week. Emily picked him up, and Noah nestled into her as if he never wanted to let go. "Emily," Michael said, "I want to apologize." "Why, Mr. Reynolds?" "For not being strong enough to protect you and your mother, for letting cruel people hurt you." "It wasn't your fault," she said, gently rocking Noah. "People don't like it when the poor get close to the rich. My grandma always said that." "Your grandma was wrong," Michael said firmly, "and I'm going to prove it." That night, Michael made the bravest decision of his professional life. He called a meeting with the entire board and senior managers. "Gentlemen, I want to talk about values," he began, looking each person in the eye. "Not financial values, human values." The room fell silent, some visibly uncomfortable. 3 months ago, my life fell apart. My wife left me with a baby I didn't know how to care for. I was desperate, lost, with no direction. "Michael," Victoria interrupted, "I don't think discussing personal matters in a corporate meeting is appropriate." "Let me finish," he said with authority. "Then a 9-year-old girl walked into my office and saved my son. Not for money, not out of obligation, but out of pure, genuine love." He told the whole story. How Emily took care of Noah. How she had developed a perfect routine for the baby. How her presence had saved his sanity. "That girl has more compassion, dedication, and professionalism than many adults I know," he said, looking straight at Victoria. "But Michael," said Mr. Gerald, "you need to understand the implications." "I understand perfectly," Michael interrupted. "I understand that we live in a society that judges people by their bank accounts, not their character. I understand that we'd rather hire expensive, incompetent nannies than accept genuine help from a poor child." The silence in the room was deafening. "But most of all, I understand that if this company has no room for humanity, for compassion, for recognizing a person's worth, regardless of their social class, then maybe I don't belong here." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. "Are you threatening to quit?" asked one of the board members, incredulous. "I'm not threatening. I'm stating a fact. Either you respect my decision to keep Emily as Noah's caregiver, or I leave the company." The room erupted in murmurs. Michael was one of the most capable executives the company had ever had. His projects generated millions in annual revenue. "Michael, don't be impulsive," said Gerald. "We can talk about this. There's nothing to discuss. Emily comes back tomorrow, or you can start looking for my replacement." That night, Michael called Rosa. "Mrs. Rosa, I'd like to speak with you in person. May I come to your home?" Rosa was surprised. In 12 years of work, no employer had ever visited her house. "That's not necessary, Mr. Michael. If you'd like, we can talk tomorrow at the office." "I'd prefer to come to you. What's your address?" An hour later, Michael parked his BMW on a dirt road in the outskirts of New York City. The houses were simple, small, some with unfinished exteriors. Children played in the street despite the late hour. He knocked on the door of a light blue single-story house. Rosa opened it, visibly nervous. "Mr. Michael, please come in." The house was small but clean and tidy. In the living room, a simple sofa, an old television, and many family photos on the walls. Emily was on the couch helping a younger sibling with homework. "Mr. Michael," she shouted, running to hug him. "Hi, Emily. How's Noah?" she asked immediately. "He misses you," Michael replied, kneeling to meet her eye level. Rosa offered coffee and they sat at the kitchen table. Michael noticed it was a small table, its laminate worn but covered with a hand-embroidered cloth. "Mrs. Rosa, I came here to apologize," he began. "There's no need, sir." "Yes, there is. I let other people hurt you and Emily. That's unforgivable." "You're not to blame for social inequalities," Rosa said with dignity. "Maybe not to blame, but I am responsible, and I want to do the right thing." He told her about the board meeting, the ultimatum he'd given. "Mr. Michael, don't do this," Rosa said, alarmed. "Don't risk your job for our sake. It's not just for you. It's for me, for Noah, for Emily, for all the people judged by what they have instead of who they are." "But what if they accept your resignation?" "Then I'll find a company that values people over prejudice." Emily listened quietly, but her eyes shone. "Mr. Michael," she said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Does Noah still remember me?" "Emily, he cries for you every night." The girl smiled for the first time in a week. "Is he eating well?" "Not really. The nannies don't make the food the way you did. And the belly massage, no one does it like you." "Mum," said Emily, turning to Rosa, "Noah needs me." Rosa looked at her daughter, then at Michael. She saw in his eyes a sincerity she rarely found in the world of the wealthy. "What if I let Emily go back and things get bad again?" she asked. "I promise that won't happen," said Michael. "And if anyone says a word against you, they'll have to deal with me." The next morning, Michael arrived at work with a heavy heart. He didn't know if he still had a job or if his gamble had been too risky. Mrs. Gloria greeted him with a smile. "Mr. Michael, Mr. Gerald wants to speak with you." He took a deep breath and went to the president's office. "Michael, sit down," said Gerald, his expression serious. "Have you made a decision?" "We have, and it's this. You remain as director, with full authority to handle the situation as you see fit." Michael couldn't hide his surprise. "We talked all night," Gerald continued, "and we came to the conclusion that you're right. If we're a company that can't accept a child caring for a baby, what kind of company are we? And the others? Victoria, the managers. Victoria will be transferred to our branch in Chicago. The others will adjust or find another place to work." Michael felt immense relief. "But there's one condition," Gerald said. Michael's heart sank. "What is it?" "We want to get to know this special girl better, and we want to formalize her position here at the company." Half an hour later, Rosa and Emily arrived together at the building. Employees stopped to look, but this time, the glances were different. Some smiled, others waved. Many seemed genuinely happy to see them back. Emily ran to the director's office and found Noah in the crib. The baby was awake, and when he saw her, he began waving his little arms joyfully. "Noah," she cried, scooping him up. "I'm back." The baby laughed for the first time in a week, a crystal-clear sound that echoed through the room. "Hi, my love," she said, covering him in kisses. You've gotten so thin. You weren't eating well, were you?" As if understanding every word, Noah snuggled into her. Michael and Rosa watched the reunion with emotion. "Mrs. Rosa," Michael said, "I'd like to make you an official offer." "What is it, sir?" "I want to hire Emily officially as a childcare assistant, with a salary, benefits, all the rights." "But she's only 9 years old," Rosa said, stunned. "Then it'll be a special contract, part-time with hours that don't interfere with her studies. And you'll also be promoted to cleaning supervisor with a raise." Rosa fell silent, trying to process the information. "Why are you doing this?" and she asked. "Because you deserve it. Because Emily saved my son and my sanity. Because it's the right thing to do." That afternoon, the news spread through the company. Reactions were mixed. Some employees were genuinely happy, others grumbled, but everyone understood it was better to accept the new reality. Mrs. Gloria was one of the first to congratulate Emily. "I knew you'd come back," she said with a motherly smile. "A bond like yours with Noah doesn't just disappear." "Thank you for calling me that day," Emily said. "No need to thank me. I did what any decent person would do." In the weeks that followed, a new routine took shape. Emily arrived at 8 in the morning, helped Michael with Noah until 11, then went to the study room he'd set up for her, where she did homework and read books. In the afternoon, she returned to care for the baby until her mother's shift ended. The transformation was remarkable. Noah regained weight, developed a healthy sleep and feeding routine, and was visibly happier. Emily, in turn, blossomed. With access to new books and dedicated study time, her grades at school improved dramatically. "Mr. Michael," she said one day, "can I tell you a secret?" "Of course. I've always wanted to have a little brother. My siblings are almost my age, so I've never really taken care of a baby." "And how do you feel about taking care of Noah?" "It's like he's my real brother," she said, her eyes shining. "Sometimes I pretend I'm his mother." The innocence of the confession deeply moved Michael. Emily was filling not just a need for Noah, but also her own emotional need. 2 months later, the situation took a new turn when Michael's ex-wife, Jessica, unexpectedly returned. "Michael, we need to talk," she said, showing up at the company unannounced. Jessica was an elegant 32-year-old woman, with blonde hair, designer clothes, the perfect image of a successful executive. She had left Michael and Noah to pursue a romance with a European businessman, but the relationship had ended badly. "What do you want, Jessica?" Michael asked coldly. "I want my son back." "Your son? You abandoned him 4 months ago." "I made a mistake. But now I'm ready to be a mother." Just then, Emily walked into the room carrying Noah, who had just woken up from his afternoon nap. "Mr. Michael, he's hungry," she said, but stopped when she saw a stranger in the room. Jessica looked at Emily with disdain. "Who is this child?" she asked. "This is Emily. She takes care of Noah," Michael replied. "A child babysitter? Michael, that's ridiculous." Noah, who had started fussing from hunger, immediately calmed when he saw Emily. He reached out his little arms to her, completely ignoring his biological mother. "Hi, sweetheart," Emily said, picking him up. "I'll make your bottle." "Hold on," Jessica interrupted. "I'm his mother. I'll make the bottle." But Noah began crying when Jessica tried to take him. Emily soothed him right away, singing his special song. "Sleep, my little one. The moon has arrived," she sang softly. Noah instantly settled, nestling into Emily. "This is unacceptable," Jessica said. "My son prefers a stranger over me." "Jessica, you left him when he was 2 months old," Michael said. "Emily has been caring for him for 4 months. To him, she's the mother figure. That will change. I'm filing for full custody." "You can try," Michael said calmly. "But it'll be hard to explain to a judge why you abandoned a newborn to run off with another man." Jessica flushed with anger, but knew he was right. In the weeks that followed, a complex legal battle began. Jessica hired one of the best attorneys in New York City and filed for full custody, claiming Michael was putting Noah at risk by leaving him in the care of a child. The case drew media attention. Newspapers ran stories about the CEO who lets a poor girl take care of his son. Opinions were divided. Some supported Michael, others harshly criticized the situation. During this time, Emily faced many humiliations. Social workers visited the company, psychologists interviewed her and Noah, and lawyers asked intimidating questions. Emily, a psychologist asked during an evaluation, "Do you feel forced to take care of the baby?" "No," she answered honestly. "I like it." "Why do you like it?" "Because he needs me. And I like when someone needs me." "But wouldn't you rather play with kids your age?" "I do play. But taking care of Noah isn't work for me. It's love." The answer, recorded in the official documents, became one of the strongest pieces of evidence in Michael's favor. The turning point came during a supervised visit with Jessica. She arrived at the company one afternoon when Noah was particularly fussy because of his teething. "Let me hold him," said Jessica to Emily. "He's cranky today because of his little teeth," explained Emily. "I'd better calm him down first." "I'm his mother," shouted Jessica, snatching Noah forcefully. The baby began to cry desperately. Jessica tried everything. A bottle, a pacifier, rocking. Nothing worked. Noah cried louder and louder, reaching his little arms out to Emily. "Why won't he stop crying?" asked Jessica, frustrated. "Can I try to calm him down?" asked Emily, feeling sorry for the baby. "No, I'm the mother. I have to do this." But the more Jessica tried, the more Noah cried. The social worker, observing the visit, watched everything carefully. After 40 minutes of non-stop crying, Jessica snapped. "This boy is impossible," she shouted, roughly handing Noah back to Emily. Immediately, the baby calmed down in Emily's arms. The difference was so dramatic it left everyone stunned. "How do you do that?" the social worker asked Emily. "I know him," the girl replied simply. "I know when he's hungry, when he's sleepy, when he's in pain. We understand each other." That night, the social worker wrote in her report, "The child Noah shows a much stronger emotional bond with Emily Parker than with his biological mother. The connection between them is evident and beneficial for the child's development." The hearing was scheduled for a rainy Tuesday in August. The courthouse was packed with journalists, onlookers, and supporters from both sides. Michael arrived with his attorney Sarah Campbell, a woman experienced in family law. Emily and Rosa sat in the front row, visibly nervous. Jessica entered with her lawyer, attorney Richard Blackwell, known for never losing a custody case. The judge, Judge William Harris, a 50-year-old man with a reputation for sternness but also fairness, opened the session. "This is an unusual case," he said. "We have a biological mother claiming custody of her son, and a father who alleges the mother is emotionally unfit to care for the child." Attorney Blackwell began his argument, portraying Jessica as a remorseful mother who deserved a second chance, and Michael as an irresponsible man who put his son at risk. "Your Honor," he said, "it's unacceptable for a 9-year-old child to be responsible for caring for a baby. This constitutes parental neglect and child labor." Attorney Sarah countered by presenting evidence of Jessica's abandonment and the excellent care Emily provided for Noah. "Your Honor, this isn't child labor, but a genuine emotional bond that benefits both children involved." The crucial phase was witness testimony. Mrs. Gloria, several company employees, and even doctors who monitored Noah testified about Emily's competence and affection. Dr. Robert Johnson, Noah's pediatrician, was unequivocal. "In 30 years of practice, I've rarely seen a child so well cared for. Noah is developing perfectly, with ideal weight and milestones on track. Whoever is caring for him is doing an exemplary job." Then it was Emily's turn to testify. She walked to the witness stand with Noah in her arms, as he had refused to stay with anyone else. "Emily," the judge said gently, "can you tell me how you started caring for Noah?" "It was the day he was crying a lot in Mr. Michael's office," she replied in a clear voice. "I ran in because I couldn't stand hearing a baby cry." "And why do you still care for him?" "Because I love him," she said simply, "and he loves me too." "How do you know he loves you?" "Because when he sees me, he's happy. When I'm sad, he gets sad too. When I sing to him, he smiles. We're a family." Emily's innocence and sincerity touched everyone in the room. Some journalists discreetly wiped away tears. Attorney Blackwell tried to question Emily about whether a child should care for another, but she responded with a maturity that surprised everyone. "Doctor," she said, "I have 3 younger siblings. I've been taking care of them forever. Caring for a child isn't about age, it's about love. And I love Noah more than anything in the world." The most dramatic moment came when Jessica tried to take Noah to show the judge that she could also care for him. The baby started crying immediately and only calmed down when he was back in Emily's arms. "This is manipulation," Jessica shouted. "This girl is turning my son against me." "Mrs. Jessica," the judge said sternly, "an 8-month-old baby can't be manipulated. His reactions are instinctive and genuine." After hearing all the testimonies and reviewing the reports, Judge Harris withdrew to deliberate. The wait felt endless for everyone involved. When he returned, his expression was solemn. "This case has made me reflect on the true meaning of motherhood and fatherhood," he began. "Being a parent isn't just about biology, it's about love, dedication, and constant presence." He looked at Jessica. "You, Mrs. Jessica, abandoned your newborn son to pursue personal interests. This shows an emotional immaturity that doesn't align with the responsibility of motherhood." Then he turned to Michael. "You, on the other hand, took full responsibility for the child and found an unconventional yet effective way to provide the necessary care." Finally, his gaze settled on Emily, who held a peacefully sleeping Noah. "And you, young Emily, have shown a maturity and nurturing ability many adults lack. Your dedication and love for this child are evident and beneficial to his development." The room was completely silent. "Therefore, I rule that custody remains with the father, Michael Reynolds, with supervised visits for the biological mother until she demonstrates emotional stability and caregiving ability." Jessica burst into angry tears, but Judge Harris wasn't finished. "Furthermore, I officially recognize Emily Parker's role as Noah's special caregiver, with all necessary legal rights and protections to ensure the continuation of this beneficial bond." The room erupted in applause. Emily cried with relief, hugging Noah as he woke up and smiled at her. Michael felt an enormous weight lift from his shoulders. Outside the courthouse, a small crowd had gathered. When Michael, Emily, and Mrs. Rosa stepped out, they were met with cheers and words of support. "Emily, Emily," some people chanted. A reporter approached. "Emily, how do you feel?" "Happy," she answered, holding Noah. "Now I can take care of him forever." "And what would you say to other kids going through similar situations?" Emily thought for a moment. "That love has no age, and when you truly love someone, you have to fight for that love." Her response went viral on social media. Emily's case became a symbol of how genuine emotional bonds transcend social conventions. In the following months, everyone's lives changed significantly. Michael was promoted to vice president of the company, recognized not just for his professional competence, but for upholding his human values. Mrs. Rosa was made a permanent cleaning supervisor with a salary that allowed the family to move to a larger apartment in a better neighborhood. She also began a night course in administration, funded by the company. Emily continued caring for Noah, now with official status and recognition. She became a minor celebrity, receiving invitations to speak about childcare and emotional bonds. The most important thing, however, was Noah's development. At 8 months old, he was already trying to crawl toward Emily. His first word was M, his version of Emily. "Mr. Michael," Emily said one day, "Noah tried to say my name today. I heard. He loves you so much. I love him too, forever." A year after the trial, on a sunny September morning, something magical happened. Noah, now a year and a half old, was playing in the company garden with Emily when he took his first steps. "Noah," Emily shouted, "you did it!" The boy wobbled a few steps before falling into her arms, laughing joyfully. Michael watched from his office window and felt his eyes fill with tears. There was living proof that true love transcends all barriers. That afternoon, he had an important conversation with Emily. "Emily, can I ask you a serious question?" "Of course, Mr. Michael." "When you grow up, what do you want to be?" "I want to work with children," she answered without hesitation. "I want to help babies who don't have anyone to care for them. Like a pediatrician? Maybe, or a nurse or a daycare teacher. The name doesn't matter. I just want to take care of kids." Michael smiled. Emily had found her calling through her love for Noah. "Then I have a proposal for you," he said. "I'll set up an education fund for you. From elementary school all the way through college. You can study whatever you want, wherever you want." "Really?" she asked, her eyes shining. "Really? But there's one condition." Emily's heart raced. "What?" "That you keep being Noah's special sister, not as a job, but as family." "Forever?" she asked. "Forever." Emily hugged Michael tightly. "Thank you for letting me take care of Noah. Thank you for making me part of your family." "No, Emily. Thank you for saving our family." That night at home, Emily told her mother about Michael's offer. "Honey," Rosa said with tears in her eyes, "you deserve this and so much more. Mom, when I grow up and have my career, I'll take care of you too. I know, my love. I know." 2 years later, Emily and Noah's story was documented in a book written by a journalist who had followed the case from the beginning. The book, titled Love Has No Age, became a bestseller and inspired many people to rethink their prejudices about social class and emotional bonds. Michael used the royalties to create a foundation that offers scholarships for employees' children. The Emily Noah Foundation has already helped hundreds of children across America. Emily, now 12, has become an exemplary student. Her grades are always the best in class, and she shows a special interest in biology and health sciences. Noah, now 4, is a happy, healthy child who sees Emily not just as his caregiver, but as his best friend and sister. Their bond remains unshakable. Noah seeks her out when he's sad, sick, or just wants to play. Emily teaches him new words, helps with his first drawings, and is always there for the important moments in his life. One Sunday afternoon, while playing in the park, Noah asked a question that deeply touched Emily. "Em, are you going to get married someday?" "Maybe," she replied. "Why?" "If you get married, will you still play with me?" "Noah," she said seriously, "I'll always be here for you. Always. Nothing and no one will change that. Promise?" "I promise." They sealed the promise with a tight hug. Michael watched from a distance, reflecting on how his life had completely changed since that dramatic day when Noah had cried inconsolably in his office. Emily hadn't just saved her son. She had taught him about true values, about what really matters in life. The company changed too. Emily's case created a new organizational culture, more humane and inclusive. Employees at all levels began to be treated with greater respect and dignity. Victoria, who had been transferred to Chicago, eventually resigned and started her own business. She never fully overcame her jealousy of Emily, but learned to live with her own choices. Jessica continued trying to get closer to Noah, though always sporadically and superficially. The boy tolerated her politely, but it was clear his heart belonged to the family he truly knew: Michael, Emily, and Rosa. Rosa, in turn, graduated with a degree in business administration and was promoted to HR manager at the company. Her life experience and social sensitivity brought significant positive changes to internal policies. In an interview with a national magazine 5 years after the story began, Emily was asked what she had learned from the entire experience. "I learned that love is about presence, not blood," she answered with the wisdom of someone much older. "I learned people can change when they find purpose. And I learned it doesn't matter where you come from, but where you're going." "And where are you going?" the reporter asked. "To a place where I can help more children like I helped Noah, to a place where I can make a difference in someone's life." Her answer perfectly captured who Emily had become: a young woman with purpose, determined to turn her personal experience into something that could benefit others. Noah, now 7 years old, developed a warm and empathetic personality, a direct reflection of the care he received from Emily. He often said that when he grew up, he wanted to be just like Em, helping people in need. One special morning, on Noah's 8th birthday, the gathered family, Michael, Rosa, Emily, and Noah, stood in the garden of the new house Michael had bought, big enough for everyone to live together. "Noah," Emily said, "do you remember the day we met?" "No," he answered, laughing. "I was too little. You were crying in your father's office and I ran in to help you." "Why?" "Because when you love someone, you can't stand to see them hurting." "And do you still love me now?" "Now, I love you even more. Forever? Forever." The end. And what did you think of this touching story about Emily and Noah? Can true love really overcome all social barriers? Share in the comments which part moved you the most, and whether you believe such a transformation could happen in real life. Your opinion means a lot to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.